Hey everybody, it's John King. It is Monday, the 1st of April, so it is April Fool's Day. Okay, maybe not. Actually, it is April Fool's Day, but this has nothing to do with April Fools. This has to do with the Dream for All program, and that is no joke. So we are launching 2 days from now is when the registration portal opens up. Every single Monday for the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be doing a live webinar like this. My goal is to give you good information, but also to answer all your questions. So I get a lot of people who have a lot of questions throughout the week. I figure the questions are going to become more and more as we get closer to the deadline. And so I want to provide this as both an open forum to answer any questions that you have, but also as a specific forum for me to give you information. So I'll teach you some new things, talk about some things. Billy, welcome, Billy. Good to see you, my friend. Billy got his approval letter today. So Billy is ready to go. 2 more days, Billy, and we're getting into the portal. So super happy, and thank you for joining me tonight. Guys, this will be interactive, so please make sure you're commenting any platform that you are on. Some of you are on the webinar platform. Some of you are watching via other social media channels. So whatever channel that you're on, if you place a comment into that channel, I'll be able to see it. I'll be able to pull it up on screen and be able to address your questions and share with you whatever questions you have, whatever thoughts I have. Let's go ahead and get started. So let's kick it off. First and foremost, 2 more days. Registration portal opens 8 a.m. on Wednesday, the 3rd. There is no need for you to be the first one in line. Okay, there's no special button you get. There's no, I think was it Chick-fil-A? I know Del Taco does it, right? Like the first person to show up when they open a new Del Taco, and you get free Del Taco for a year. Well, this doesn't work that way. If you're the first person to register, you get nothing. And I don't want everybody, CalHFA does not want everybody crashing the system on day 1 because there's no preferential treatment being given. They are waiting until they have all of the reservations. They close the portal on 5 p.m. on Monday, the 29th. And so once the portal closes, everybody has an equal chance. So the most important thing, on Wednesday, I will be doing a live stream of, I'll do it live. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to do a walkthrough of registering in the portal. So you get to watch me try and figure out how to stumble my way through the portal. And then I might edit that if it needs to be. But I'll give you kind of some feedback. So I hope to do that around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning so that we can kind of get a tutorial of what things they're asking for, how to fill it out so that you can have that as a guide. So I'm going to do that for you Wednesday morning. So I have no idea what it's going to be, but let's give it a shot together and try and work through it. That's happening on Wednesday. But the key is you have to have your pre-approval letter from me or from any other CalHFA approved lender, approved lender. And you have to have that along with your residency, proof of residency, proof of ID. There's going to walk through your circumstances and what paperwork you're going to need. CalHFA is going to be asking for it. Now, I don't want you to freak out saying, oh my gosh, John, I don't have all of the paperwork and I don't know what I'm going to need. Well, next Monday, I'm going to have a better feel. I'm going to have clients that have done it for the first 5 days. I'll have tried to log in myself and see what it looks like. I'll get some feedback from people and I'll be able to give you more information next Monday night on what it is going to look like. All right, we got another question comment here from Sam. Do Dream for All income limits apply to a married couple's total income or can it apply to just one spouse? So guys, I am happy to take questions and I will answer them as they come. So just understand it's going to take the webinar out of order, and that's okay, because that's kind of my point over the next 4 weeks, is to answer your questions as they come. So Sam, it's a great question. I'm actually going to pull up the income limits right here, and I am going to share my screen like this. Perfect. Okay, so hopefully you can see that good enough. This is the income limits for every county in the state. Hopefully that's big enough. If you guys need me to make that bigger, I can make myself smaller. But this income is qualifying income. So Sam, what it has to do with, let me get rid of Sam's question. Sam, what it has to do with is it has to do with how I review your income relative to Fannie Mae's guidelines. So it is total income. It is all of the income I'm using on the application. So if we are removing a spouse because they have income that would put us over the limit, that spouse is not allowed to be on the loan. Now that can create an issue Because if your spouse is not on a loan per CalHFA's rules, your spouse cannot be an owner of the property. So it is total income. So back to Sam's question, the income applies to a married couple's total income. Unlike a lot of things with the IRS where they say, oh, well, hey, it's up to, $150,000 for a single person or $300,000 for a married couple. Nope. This income is qualifying income on the application, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 borrowers. It's the total amount of income we're using to qualify you. So we've got some ways that we can massage that income a little bit. Maybe there's overtime that we don't get verification it's going to continue, and therefore I can't use it because there's no verification it's going to continue, and Fannie Mae's rules require that we verify overtime is going to continue. So there's some ways we can kind of play with it. But if, for example, if I were to zoom way in here, just to make this super big for everybody, and let's just say that we are buying in Butte County. So Butte County has an income limit of $145,000. We see that right here. And you say, okay, well, I make 100 and my spouse makes 100. I can't just use 45,000. Like, let's say it's a salary for both of you, make exactly the same dollar amount. I can't just ignore part of the income and say, well, I'm only going to count $45,000 of one of the spouse's income. It is literally about, can I justify the calculation? Sometimes I can justify averaging the numbers because the average brings us down a little bit. But sometimes if your income is super stable and you just paid a flat salary, I can't justify averaging the income down because it's clear that's the number you're going to make going forward. So hopefully, Sam, that answers your question. Let me know if you need more clarification on that. But let's go ahead and dive back in. So as I go in and out of your guys' questions, I'll keep going through the things that I wanted to cover today. So we're going to do live webinars every single Monday night until the portal closes. The portal closes at 5 o'clock on the 29th, so I'm not doing a webinar on the 29th. We are all going to have our last webinar on Monday the 22nd. So for the next, 3 weeks out from today. So today plus 3, we're going to be doing webinars. All right. A couple of questions that I've gotten recently. One of them is, what's the difference between an approved CalHFA approved lender and a CalHFA preferred loan officer? And it's really important because CalHFA says you have to have a pre-approval letter from an approved lender in order to submit your voucher. So the first thing is, it's got to be CalHFA's version of the pre-approval letter. And if you're not working with a lender that understands that, you're going to, what you want to look for is CalHFA's logo on the top of the pre-approval letter, because CalHFA has a specific form that shows your income amount, the amount of the Dream for All. There's a paragraph at the top of the letter. If your letter from your lender does not look like that, if it does not have a spot that says total income on the bottom, and the first line says CalHFA approved lender name, okay? If it doesn't say that, you have that lender's pre-approval letter. CalHFA will reject that, okay? You have to have a pre-approval letter that is a CalHFA pre-approval letter that is from a CalHFA approved lender. Now you can go online to CalHFA's website and it will show you all of the names of the companies that are CalHFA approved, and every loan officer in that company that is licensed in the state of California is authorized to do a CalHFA loan, okay? But that's kind of like saying, hey, I'm a surgeon and therefore I can do surgery on anything. So let's try open heart surgery today and see how that goes. Well, I haven't necessarily been trained in open heart surgery. I don't necessarily have the skills to do open heart surgery, but my medical degree says I'm allowed to, so I should do it. Now, that's kind of an approved lender, okay? The CalHFA preferred loan officer, that says this is one of a select few loan officers that have done enough transactions that are specifically CalHFA down payment assistance loans that CalHFA trusts us to put our name out there as saying, hey, yes, all of these companies are approved, but these particular loan officers, they are preferred loan officers who have done a lot of transactions, and we understand the ins and the outs of it. This is not a simple transaction. Not only is it challenging to qualify you, but shepherding you through the process, making sure that things happen in the timeline. I wouldn't trust my 90-day voucher to a loan officer that hasn't done these before. So it's just something to think about because I only have a limited amount of time to actually redeem my voucher. And so, yes, this is a plug for me, shameless or shameful or whatever you want to call it. I am interviewing to be your loan officer right now. And so if you have a CalHFA pre-approval letter from another lender, the truth is you can change lenders. Now, that means I'm telling you, my client, Billy, you just got your approval letter from me today. You can go with somebody else later if you want to. Do you really want to? Matter of fact, you probably tell everybody else on this call that if they got an approval letter with somebody else, they have the option of going through me. Your pre-approval letter does not require that you use that lender. CalHFA cannot force that. Now, once you lock a loan, you can't switch between lenders. So you can't be in contract and say, oh my gosh, my lender is failing me. They don't understand how to get me through to the finish line. John, can you help me? I will give you whatever advice I can, but I can't take over the loan. So just understand, once you pick your pony, you're riding that pony to the end. And I'd hate to see that end crash and burn. I will say, as a side note, if you do end up getting a voucher and you get into contract and that lender doesn't get you successfully to closing, you can switch to a different lender, me, if you choose to, on your next contract, as long as it's within your 90-day period of your voucher. All right, so let's go. I got a couple of questions here. All right, so I've got a question from Michael saying, what will the interest rate be? So Michael, that is a great question. I am going to show you right here. This is from last week on Monday, but it's okay because the purpose is the same. CalHFA is closed today. So CalHFA did not give us interest rates today because they were observing Cesar Chavez Day, which was the 31st of March. So they were closed today. So they didn't give us interest rates, but every single day anyway, I pulled this up last week at 7:21. I think I did it while I was on this call last week. So CalHFA gives us interest rates. The interest rate changes daily. So Michael, really, really good question. The interest rate is depending upon the rate market the day we lock your loan, and we cannot lock your loan until you have a purchase contract for a particular property, and you can't get a purchase contract and lock a loan until you have your voucher accepted. So critical that you understand, we're not locking now. You're not locking when you get your pre-approval. You're not locking when you enter your reservation request into the portal. You're not locking when you get your reservation request accepted and you get a voucher. You're not locking when you write an offer. You are locking when the offer is accepted and you have a conversation with me. Because even after your offer is accepted, until we talk, your interest rate does not get locked in. By the way, CalHFA closes at 3 o'clock every day. Their lock desk shuts down at 3 o'clock, which means the lock has to be processed at CalHFA by 3 p.m. My company has a cutoff of 2:30 because that gives us a 30-minute buffer to get it processed through CalHFA's system. But what you look at, you can go to CalHFA's website and you can go, if you go to CalHFA and you click on lenders, so if you're on the home screen, and if you were to click, by the way, here, they're closed today, Cesar Chavez Day. You click on lenders and you go to rates and reservations and you click right here that says view today's rates. If I click there, it says there ain't no rates today. But if I go right over here to the one that I had from last week, what it'll show you, you're looking for the line that says conventional with CalHFA down payment assistance. Okay, so conventional with CalHFA DPA, and you have a standard rate lock. So your standard rate lock is today's rate for everybody that is over 80% of the area median income. If you're under 80% of the area median income for the county you're buying in, then CalHFA gives you a few benefits. The first benefit is you get a lower interest rate. The second benefit is you pay back a smaller percentage of your appreciation. You pay back 75 cents on the dollar. So in other words, if you took 20% and your house value went up by $100,000 when you triggered your repayment, then you would owe them $20,000. Yeah, you'd owe them $20,000. But if you're under 80% of the area median income at the time you start your loan, not at the time that your loan is paid off, but at the time you start your loan, instead of paying them $15,000 in appreciation, you only pay 75%, instead of paying them $20,000, 20% of the $100,000 it went up. That $20,000 is reduced by 25%. You get a coupon, you get a discount off of the appreciation you pay the state, and you're only paying them $15,000. You get 25% off. So that's the second benefit. The third benefit is your credit score only needs to be 660 if you are below 80% of the area median income. So a little bit better interest rate, less money you have to pay back, and a lower credit score requirement if you're under 80% of the area median income for the county you're buying in. Now, if you don't know that chart, you can get a copy of the chart by downloading my book. So scan the QR code up above, download my book. By the way, once you download the book, it'll give you the links to start the application process if you choose to on that screen or in the book. You've got that as well. It's about a 40-page book. Like, I go pretty deep into what I know about this program and how it works. And so please, please, please download the book. All right. So Michael, I'm going to go a little bit further and I'm going to clarify. So we talked about county income limits, and I'll use Butte County as my example. 145,000 is the most you can make, but if you look at Butte County, there is an income limit for every county of 80% of the area median income level. So I'm going to actually kind of answer another question here, which is, and Jolly asks, is Fresno County below 80% of the median income level? So I'm kind of answering that right now as I answer this for Michael. Every county has an average amount of income. So CalHFA sets their numbers at the most you can make is a certain percentage above the average of that county. And if you are below 80% of the average for that county, then you get these special deals. So, and Jolly, within Fresno County, there is a maximum you can make, and then there's an 80% number. So the whole county isn't low income. It is probably a lower amount compared to the rest of the state. And I can actually use that as my example. Fresno County, the low income number is $63,520. So if you make more than $63,520, you're good, you're fine, but you don't get those extra benefits of the lower interest rate, the reduced amount you pay back, and the lower required credit score. Fresno County's maximum is 132. So Fresno says you can't make more than 132 to buy, but as long as you're under 132, the benefit of being under 63 is that you have those flexibilities of lower credit score, lower interest rate, and reduced payback. By the way, sometimes the interest rate is no lower. Some days, the interest rate for low income is identical to the interest rate for regular income. So don't be bummed. There is a low income rate, but it isn't always a discounted rate. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. So that answered that question. I love it, guys. Keep the questions coming. All right. So let's go back and make sure I'm getting all of these. So I got that one. I got that one. Sam. Let's go back and get rid of this. Sam says, thanks for taking questions as they come. If one spouse makes $200,000 and the other makes no income, can you justify averaging both spouses' income by dividing it in half to $100,000? No, because it's not per person. So if one spouse made 100 and the other made 100, the total qualifying income is 200. If one makes 200 and the other makes 0, the total qualifying income is 200. And so we're not averaging per spouse. Remember, if your maximum's 150,000 and one of you makes 149 and the other makes 149, I can kick one of you off the loan. We can do the loan just in one person's name, but the other person can't be an owner of the property either. And now you qualify based on the $149,000 of income. But if one of you makes 300 and the other one makes nothing, I can't average that to the 150. So hopefully that makes sense, Sam. Again, guys, keep the questions coming and I will answer them as we go. Kevin, hey, Kevin, good to see you again. Will the timing of submission matter? Whoever submits first into the queue, or is it completely randomized? It's completely randomized. CalHFA published a statement last week saying, please, 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 please. I think they had one more please. I think there were 7 pleases. Anyway, they said, please do not everybody try and get in on the 3rd. I think they're afraid of their system crashing. So what they said, and they made it very clear, there is no preferential treatment. There is no additional benefit to being early. Everybody is put into the same pool. Now, Kevin, I want to be really clear here. Everybody's not put into the same pool. What you have is you have a pool based upon what county you are buying. What county you're buying in. So let me share my screen now. and show you what I'm referring to. You guys have hopefully seen this before. Let me make it bigger. Let's get rid of Kevin's question. Let's get rid of I got a lot of stuff sitting up here. Okay, get rid of that. And I'll get rid of the ebook thing for right now. All right, so let's go to where do I get rid of that? Come on, John. Let's get rid of that. Okay, cool. So vouchers per region. So Kevin, no matter when you put your information into the portal, as long as it's in there and complete by Monday the 29th at 5 p.m., you're put into a pool with everybody else that is within your counties. And so if you're in the Bay Area, so if you're between Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, Napa, San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Solano, or Sonoma counties, oops, sorry about that, gang, you are all in one group. Everybody who lives there now, this has nothing to do with where you're buying, super confusing, nothing to do with where you're buying. If you live in one of these counties now, you're put into that pool of buyers. That pool of buyers gets selected as a group. And what they're going to pick is between 1,700 and 2,000 people statewide. And so the percentage is based upon the share of the state's population. And so if you look right here, if you can see my cursor kind of going right here on this column, 21% of the state's population lives in those counties in the Bay Area. So 21% of the money goes there, which 21% of 1,700 is 350 winners. 21% of 2,000 is 420 winners. So we're going to see somewhere between 350 and 420 winners. So if you want a copy of this, you can take a screenshot right now, or you can download a copy of my book. So I'll pull that back up. Shameless plug for the book. It's free, guys. It's like super free. Like it costs you super nothing. So you should get the book. Okay. So what you're looking at is you're looking at being part of that group, being within that pool. By the way, this chart right here is in the book that you can get right up there. Okay. So I never be a good weatherman because the weather people, like they have to be able to look at the camera and point at something behind them while it's, I don't know, I get super confused about what direction I'm trying to point right now. So not a good weatherman. Anyway, you're put into that pool. They're going to select in the Bay Area 350 to 420 winners. They're going to select another 350 to 420 runners up, wait listers, people who will get the voucher if the winners don't use the voucher. I've asked CalHFA to tell somebody if they're number one on the list or number 420. I have no idea if they're going to do that or not. I put it in as a suggestion. We will see, but that's the process. So Kevin, there is zero benefit to being the first one in. Everybody's put into the same pool at the end, but everybody's put into a separate pool based on these regions. So if you are in Los Angeles County, you are you have the best chances. Truth be told, 25% of the state's population lives in Los Angeles County. 425 to 500 of the winners are going to go literally to one county. Versus if you're in the rural areas, you have a whole bunch of counties there that they're only getting between 68 and 80 people, but there's also fewer people in the rural counties. So, you got to look at it statistically as well. All right, where the heck is my cursor? There it is. All right, let's do this. Let's go back to my questions. Got Kevin, I got Anjali. Okay, so DM, say you don't have any debt. That'd be awesome. Congratulations for having no debt. That's something really very few people are doing today. And I think it's kind of scary how bad that we've let debt get out of control, but that's not what you were talking about. So I digress. All right, so what would be the maximum purchase price for your home? And are there homes out there for people to buy with $63,000 in annual income? So I'm going to give you the math in general. I'm going to give this math to all of you so that you understand the basic concept. And by the way, if you want, you can download my mobile app and you'll have a good payment calculator. So I will switch very quickly here. Is this one going to have my mobile app? No. Is this one going to have my mobile app? Are you my mother? You guys all read that Dr. Seuss book? Anyway, here you go. This one's going to have my mobile app. There you go. All right. So you can scan that QR code right there. It will take you to my mobile app. The mobile app will give you a great payment calculator so you can figure out the monthly payment. The math is actually very easy. If you take your total gross monthly income, so Kevin, or excuse me, DM, in your case, $63,000 a year. So about $5,100 a month, totally ballparking this, okay? Let's just round it to $5,000 a month for simple math. If you have a 700 credit score, I allow you to spend half of that money towards your credit cards, car payments, and house payments. Now, in your case, you have no credit cards and no car payment. You have no debt, which means you can spend half of that, or $2,500, towards a house payment. Use my calculator. This is my mobile app. So download the mobile app, register, click on calculator, go to conventional. So you get a calculator and you go to purchase. Then you go to conventional, and then you go to the slider. And it's got sliders on there that you can choose 20% down. So change it to 20% down, and then just keep moving the purchase price slider up and down. You might have to adjust the interest rate, but I showed you how to find the interest rates. So you can spend half of your gross monthly income towards your car payments, credit card payments, student loan payments, and house payments. And if you have no debt, then that all can go towards the house payment. What that means in a purchase price? Well, that depends on, hey, are you putting extra money out of your pocket? Because if you are, you can put 25% down. If you want to have us cover the closing costs for you, then you're putting more like 15% down. So there's really 3 scenarios, and I'm actually going to kind of, well, I have a little banner about this, but I'll skip it and I'll just explain it now. There's 3 scenarios that you need to think about. Which one am I? You do not have to you don't have to give us a final decision now, but ultimately you can be in the category of, I want the least amount of money out of pocket. In general, that means that of the 20% down, we're taking about 4 to 5% of that towards closing costs, because one of the closing costs is buying out of the mortgage insurance, since you're not putting 20% down. Your closing costs on average for this program are anywhere from 3.5% to 5%, depending upon credit score, depending upon loan amount, depending upon, actually it doesn't even depend on credit score. It depends on loan amount. It depends on purchase price, and it will depend on what your loan amount is, whether you have a high balance fee. So, and whether you're putting down 20%. That was the piece I was going to get to. So here's the deal. 3 scenarios. I either want the least amount of money out of pocket, and so as you're running your calculation, you would choose 15% down for the payment calculator. Or you say, you know what, I want some money out of pocket. I'm willing to come up with 3 or 4% of the purchase price. Well, that's your closing costs, which means you use Dream for All is going to be 20% down. So you set my payment calculator based on 20% down. Or you say, John, I want the lowest possible payment, and I have money to pay some down payment money. As a matter of fact, I'd like to pay as much as I can in down payment. Well, you're limited to 5% of your own money. And so what you have to do is you have to say, okay, 20% from the state, 5% from me. That means I'm putting 25% down plus my closing costs. Okay, so those are the 3 scenarios. I want the least amount down, which means you're putting 15% towards down payment. I want to pay my closing costs, 20% towards down payment. I want to put the most out of pocket, 25% towards down payment. If you're looking at purchase prices over $900,000, actually over $750,000, the numbers change, because your assistance money is now capped at $150,000 out of pocket. So it's not as simple to calculate, but the final piece of what DM asked, if your credit score is under 700, okay, remember 680 is the requirement for most people unless you're low income. But if you're under 700 credit score, I can only spend 45% of your income towards your payments. So you take your monthly income times 45%. And then if you have credit cards and car payments, you subtract that from the number. That's what's left that you can spend in a house payment. So hopefully that was worthwhile. All right, let's jump back into, first of all, I'll leave this QR code up for a little bit. This is how you start the application process. It's also how you, my mobile app is the loan application. It is the portal that you upload documents securely into, and it is the portal that has my payment calculator in there. The reason you need to use my payment calculator, because it includes proper taxes and insurance for California. And by the way, insurance is getting expensive, and it's getting more expensive. So that's a topic for another conversation, but just be aware of the fact that insurance is very, very challenging no matter where you are in California. And we'll talk more about that in the future. All right. Now let's keep going here. Billy's back. Billy says, Team King's been very professional and prompt. I didn't even know Billy was saying all of this until right now, but I'm going to read it. They answered all my questions, got my docs to John fast. The process is simple and fast. John got me approved pretty fast. The whole team is good. Good, not great, Billy. Oh, man, I'm just kidding. All right, you asked me that. Let's see here. Jeanette, how are you? Can you do a cash out refi for the first refinance and pay part of Dream for All without triggering the payment of equity? Jeanette, I feel like you asked me that question, and I'm a little behind on my YouTube comments, and I'm so sorry, but I'll answer it for you right now. So you have to pay to do a cash out refi. You have to pay CalHFA in full. And paying them in full means you pay them back the money you borrowed plus the 20% of equity of the appreciation to that moment. So you can pay CalHFA early extra. It's a horrible idea, an absolutely horrible idea to pay CalHFA anything extra because you don't save any money. It's literally like putting money in a safe in your basement because it just sits there doing nothing for you. CalHFA still gets 20% of the appreciation. So CalHFA will not let you do a cash out refinance unless you pay them off. And they will not let you pay them off without paying them in full. That includes both the money they gave you and 20% of the appreciation. So you can't, like, they won't let you do a cash out refi at all. And pulling cash out to pay them, that's considered a cash out refi, even if the money in part is going to them. I wish that there was another option, but there isn't. Great question, though. All right, DM, I think this is a question you haven't asked. Looks like $63,000 in debt. You can buy a $220,000 home. There aren't any homes within that price range. I'm not doing the math right now, and I don't think it's fair to everybody else for me to do the math. If you want to schedule a time to talk with me, you can go to well, you can just email us. I have a Calendly link. If you download my ebook, you can get my Calendly link and you can actually schedule an appointment. Calendly is a system that you can schedule yourself directly into my calendar. So if you go to the ebook link and you click to order the ebook, the next page gives you my link to my calendar. So DM, if you want for me to run the numbers, there's no obligation. You don't have to fill out an application. It doesn't cost anything. I will spend 30 minutes with any of you. So if you feel like you need one-on-one, I will give you one-on-one. Just it's kind of behind a second page there. So you got to go to the first page. You got to click on the link. There are other links that I've had on my other live streams that are giving you a direct link to my calendar. I just don't have it on today's, so I apologize for that. But DM, hopefully that helps. All right, let's keep going through my comments. All right, we have a new caller, longtime listener, first-time caller. The Hedgehog 116. Is the escrow impound account required to be with the lender, and can we opt out and manage saving for the taxes ourselves? That's actually a really good question. I am 90% certain that you have to escrow with CalHFA. And since we're here and I want to give you guys the right answers, I am going to look right now on CalHFA's website, and I'll even show you where to find the right answers. In general, in California, when you're putting greater than 10% down, you get to choose if you want to include taxes and insurance in your payment. But CalHFA, these special programs have the ability to add overlays, add additional requirements. And so where we go is we go right here to loan program information, and I go to the conventional loan program handbook. And within the conventional loan program handbook, I'll make myself a little bit smaller, and there should be a spot here, impounds, right there. CalHFA requires all first mortgages have impounds regardless of loan to value. There is your answer. By the way, I think the brain is for processing, not for storage. And so I try not to remember every answer, but I know where to look them all up. So I can process what you're asking me, and sometimes I got to look up even the simple questions. But Hedgehog, you must include taxes and insurance regardless of your loan to value. So that is the right answer. Okay, let's jump in. I love these questions. I think I am through all of the questions so far. All right, so I'm good there. Get rid of that one, and let's go. Keep going. All right, you got questions, guys? Feel free to post them on whatever platform that you are on. Hopefully this is valuable, jumping around and giving you answers to the questions. All right, so we finished talking about approved lender versus preferred loan officer. I think everybody here knows what Dream for All is. I'm going to quickly recap it in case you happen to have been living under a rock for the last 6 months or a year. Dream for All is a shared appreciation down payment assistance loan. I've actually had a lot of people ask me recently if I think it's a good idea. I had 2 people today ask me, do I think it's a good idea? Here's how I answer that. The Dream for All program is the best and the biggest down payment assistance program that I have ever seen in my 24-year career. Ever. Been doing this for a long time. This gray hair didn't come from nowhere, okay? I have seen lots of different programs, and this one by far is the best program that is out there. But it doesn't mean down payment assistance is right for you. because down payment assistance is not free. And the Dream for All program is the most expensive down payment assistance program I have ever seen. And so if you're saying to yourself, you know, John, my grandma said she'd give me 20% for a down payment, maybe I should do Dream for All though instead. No, go for grandma's money. Grandma's money does not cost you any money because you get to have 100% of the appreciation as the home value goes up. And there's 3 ways you gain equity or gain wealth in owning a home. One is the tax write-off. Well, you get that no matter what. One is forced savings. Every payment you make, some money pays down the balance. That builds your equity. That happens with Dream for All. That happens without Dream for All. It just doesn't happen when you're a renter. Okay. And then the appreciation. So I kind of want to simplify this really quickly and say there are 3 things I want you to compare. Compare with Dream for All, without Dream for All. Buy a home with Dream for All. Buy a home without Dream for All, or don't buy a home at all. And so if you are thinking, okay, John, my option is buy a home with Dream for All or buy a home without. Buy it without. Don't use the program. Use me. I can do any program out there, but don't use Dream for All because you're going to pay more in the long run. It's going to cost you more in the long run. Now, for some people, they say, John, I have the money for a down payment, but I could use that money to invest in a business and to build my business, and I'd rather put it over there. Great. Then do the Dream for All. It's a trade-off. I'm not getting as much equity, but I am gaining over here and building this business. So if your choice is between, I have the money for down payment, should I buy without Dream for All or with it? Buy without. If you have no money for down payment and or you just plain, I cannot afford the payment without putting this big down payment, then go for Dream for All because your alternative is renting. And if you say, I'm just going to rent instead of Dream for All because I don't want to pay back 25% of my equity to the state, guess what? Your landlord gets 100% of your equity. So what's worse, paying 25% of the value appreciation to the state or letting your landlord keep 100% of your rent and 100% of the appreciation on the rental home that you are renting? So I think that it really comes down to your particular situation. And if you don't know about your situation and you want my exact advice, scan the QR code, download the ebook, and on the next page and lots of places in the ebook is the link to schedule an appointment with me. It's free, okay? 30 minutes of my time, no cost whatsoever to help guide you and give you answers to these questions. All right, why is Dream for All a bad idea? I kind of hit on this, okay? Dream for All is a bad idea because you are giving up a portion of your future appreciation. That is the biggest chunk of where you make money and wealth and home ownership, okay? You are trading a lower payment today for your equity in the future. Now, I'm not trying to talk you out of it, but I'm not trying to talk you into it. I'm trying to be super clear. There's a cost to everything. Now, you're going to say, yeah, John, but I'm buying my $500,000 house and I'm only making payments on $400,000. So it might cost me money later, but it's saving me money now. And that's a very true statement. When you think of financial decisions, I'm going to give you a quick money lesson, okay? You have short-term and long-term benefits, and rarely do they align. Rarely do your short-term and long-term benefits align. Now, if you say, I only care about the long-term, John, because I'm focused long-term, you might go bankrupt before you ever see the long-term. Let me give you an example of why. Because Dave Ramsey has very strong opinions. I like Dave Ramsey, but I don't think he's really clued in on what the housing market and interest rate market looks like. Because Dave Ramsey says you shouldn't buy a house unless you have 20% down and unless you can pay a 15-year mortgage. How many of you have 20% of your own money for a down payment and have the income in order to pay a 15-year mortgage? It just doesn't exist. And so long-term, he's right. But short-term, there's no way to make that monthly payment. And if you try, there's a good chance you're going to fail and you're going to lose the house in foreclosure because you stretched, you pushed. Do you know that more 15-year mortgages fail as a percentage of how many loans are done than 30-year mortgages? Do you know why? Because people are actually, the truth is not 15, it's 20-year mortgages. More 20-year mortgages fail because people who do 20-year mortgages, they really wanted to do a 15-year, but they couldn't afford it. Think about that. Statistically, either you're doing a 30 or you're doing a 15, but if you're doing a 20, it's because you really wanted to do the 15, but it was just a little bit too much, which means you are stretching yourself. And more of those go to foreclosure. So be careful about sacrificing short term and say, I'll figure it out, but long term is all that matters. Guess what? Long term is great. You get 100% of the equity if you don't go with Dream for All. But if you can't afford the monthly payment, you're either not going to be a homeowner and then you get 100% of nothing, or you lose the home and then you get 100% of nothing. So don't do it only focused on the long term. Make sure you're balancing long and short term. All right. So we got new questions. Okay. F Sharp is back. Hey, F Sharp. Good to see you, my friend. All right. For those who strike out on the program, any down payment assistance programs I would recommend, thank you. I appreciate that. I actually had a client today that asked me a lot of questions about that. And so I am going to share with you some info. Let's go over here. So first of all, I have a waterfall of programs that I think about. Jeanette, I see your question as well. So I have a waterfall of assistance programs. So the first one, if you can get it and you need it, Dream for All is the first choice. Number one, first choice, best assistance program. The second best assistance program right now, by the way, if you are low income, under 80% of the area median income, and you live in the San Diego area, San Diego has amazing down payment assistance programs. Amazing down payment assistance programs. So if you happen to be in San Diego, you're below 80% of the area median income in San Diego, let's talk, because there's some amazing programs that have money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 a year. Okay. Now, aside from that, there are some other local programs spread out throughout the state, but for the most part, those programs are really hard to qualify. The truth is, the San Diego program is really hard to qualify for too. So the programs that have the biggest mass usability, my second favorite program is CalHFA's My Home. So you're still getting a conventional first loan, but you're only putting 3% down. And then you're getting a loan for 3% of the down payment. So you're putting 0 down payment, but you have to pay your own closing costs. Now you can ask the seller to help you with closing costs, but on a conventional loan, the most the seller can pay is 3% towards your closing costs. And these down payment assistance programs in general are anywhere from 3.5% to 4.5% or 5%. So you might have to cover 1% to 2% out of your pocket. Now, some people say, no, John, I got the solution. I'm going to use the ZIP program. I was reading about it, and CalHFA offers an extra loan for up to 3% of the purchase price with 0 interest. It's amazing. No, it's not. No, it's not. I've done like 2 of these in my career. Okay. Here's why. Because the ZIP program charges you ZIP for the extra 2 or 3%, but it tacks on the interest rate on your big loan. So if you're buying a $500,000 home and you're putting 3% down, that means you're borrowing $485,000. And CalHFA gives you a rate of 6.625, and the My Home is great because that other $15,000, you're only paying $150 a year, 1%, $150 a year in interest. That's it. No appreciation, no portion of your equity, no nothing. So you're only paying $150 a year in interest, and it doesn't compound. It's called simple interest. First year, 150. Second year, 150. Third year, 150. Fourth year, say it with me, 150. Okay. It's the same 1% every single year. But if you want to get extra money, if you want to get the ZIP money, your $485,000 loan just went up to 7.5. So you're paying almost 1% extra per year to get 2% in free money. By the way, it's not a grant. You have to pay back the 2% extra, and you have to pay back an extra almost 1% on the big chunk of money. I do not like the ZIP program. I just don't. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like ZIP Sam I am. Okay. But I do like, hopefully you guys like my rhyming. And by the way, the 3% ZIP is even worse because you're now going up another 1% in interest every year on your big loan on $485,000 to get an extra 1% of 0 interest money. That is really, 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 really expensive. Okay. So I like the My Home. I do not like the ZIP. The next program I like is the Golden State Opportunities Program, GSFA, Golden State Finance Authority, GSFA. I have some videos on my YouTube channel. I will be doing more videos on this in May once the portal has closed and you're waiting to find out if you got your voucher or not. I'm going to be going in depth on some of my webinars in May about these alternative programs. But GSFA is almost as good as CalHFA. It can give you up to 5% in assistance, which is great, but you got to make a payment on the second loan. So the first mortgage is still, the rate goes up a little bit. You make a payment on the second. I like the My Home better, F Sharp. I hope that helped answer your question. Jeanette has a question. Is there a way we don't pay the original loan in a chunk, like paying monthly? It might not benefit me, but it seems scary paying the original amount plus the 20% in equity. Jeanette, there's not going to be many situations where you're going to have to write a check for that. Like you're going to be doing a refinance, and I'll guide you through this, but you're going to be doing a refinance and you have the equity in the home to pay back the state. If there's no equity in the home, there's no payback to the state. So it'll always be a percentage of it. Writing them smaller checks, I don't want, what I'd rather do is set you up with a financial planner that you could write checks to the financial planner. Write checks into an account that will grow. Because the Dream for All money, when you pay back parts of the principal, it doesn't grow. It's like putting the money under a rock. I'd rather see you put it into a high yield savings account. I'd rather see you put it into a certificate of deposit. I'd rather see you do anything with it. Pay it back against your big loan. Pay it back against your big loan. Because now you're at least paying, you have two balances, right? You owe $400,000 on the first and $100,000 on the second. You want to pay extra money, so you owe, maybe you only owe $450 at the time that you go to refinance plus the appreciation. Well, the same benefit happens if you pay it against the big loan and you pay those extra chunks against your primary loan. So if you want to pay extra money, pay it against your primary loan. I am not a huge fan of that in general, but to Jeanette's point, she's determined to pay extra money. I understand. Don't pay it on the Dream for All loan. Pay it against your primary loan. That way, the balances between the two still go down. Instead of dropping the Dream for All loan, you're dropping the big loan because that's what you're charged interest on. That saves you money in interest dollars. And I am interested in your best interest. And it is in your best interest to pay down the loan that you're charged interest on. See what I did there? I'm proud of myself for that one. All right. F Sharp says super helpful as always. I appreciate that. Billy, John gave me 4 loan options, one with Dream for All, one with My Home, one with the Golden State, another with his maximum. So yeah, I create a chart for you and I give you kind of all 4 options on a screen. For Billy, I recorded a video of me walking through those options. We can play it over and over again. Maybe when he's, can't fall asleep, instead of counting sheep, he can just listen to me. You guys can do that on YouTube as well. All right, so let's go back. I'm going to be on until around 8. If you have more questions, I will stick around longer. I do want to get through a few things more on my bullet point. Jeanette says, thanks, it makes sense. Jeanette, I appreciate it. Please understand, I really do want to give you the best advice, and it is not a good idea to pay any money against the Dream for All loan. All right. So we talked about when do I have to pay it back. You guys kind of know that. I want to remind you guys the difference between first generation and first-time home buyer. Everybody on the loan has to be a first-time home buyer. That means you have not occupied a home in the last 3 years that you or your spouse owned. Has nothing to do with your parents, has nothing to do with anything else. You could own rental properties, no big deal. You cannot have occupied a home in the last 3 years that you or your spouse owned. That's first-time home buyer, and everybody has to meet that rule. First generation, only one person has to be first generation. But first generation has 2 parts. The one person who's the buyer that is first generation cannot have had anything to do with the home loan, a mortgage, a rental property, a deed, nothing for 7 years. And their parents cannot own a home today. If they've passed away, they cannot have owned a home the day they died. It's that simple. By the way, there's a waiver on the parent thing. If you were ever spent a day in foster care, then you have a foster care letter, some kind of I haven't seen a letter. I apologize. I don't know the name of it, but I'm assuming you would know the name of it. And so you have that letter that proves to you that you spent time in foster care, and that letter is your ticket that we don't care about your parents' history. We don't care about your parents' ownership status. You're fine. Okay. All right. I think I've kind of answered this question, but I really get a lot of people asking me, what if I exceed the income limits? Let me play with the numbers. There have been very few people that have turned down this year that say you make too much money and there's nothing I can do. And so if you're close, let me play with the numbers. Spend a half hour with me. Click the QR code above. Again, I apologize. This link doesn't make it simple. That doesn't take you to the page to schedule an appointment. But if you just register to get a copy of the book sent to you, maybe I'm just forcing you to get a copy of my book. You don't have to read it. But the next page gives you the link to schedule a 30-minute appointment with me, and we'll talk about the different ways we can get you in there. All right. What paperwork will be uploaded? Okay, when will we be notified if we won? Everybody is asking me this question. When will we be notified if we won? I don't know. I've asked CalHFA the question. I've begged them, do you have an idea of how long this is going to take? And all they say is, as long as it takes. Okay, so they have to find 4,000 people, and every one of those people has to pass the private investigators audits. Okay. And by the way, don't lie. The state, I don't know if it's a threat. I don't know if it's true, but the state said that people who try and falsify information will be turned over to the state's attorney general's office for potential prosecution. So don't lie. It literally is not worth it. The state is taking this program very, very seriously. Having said that, they're going to have every winner. So somebody's they're going to get the whole list of the 4,000 people. The first 2,000 that are the winners, the second 2,000 that are the backup people that are on the wait list. And they're not going to tell any of them because they're going to start doing a background check on each person as they go through. The state has said a while back they expect maybe half the people that they select will get rejected because they don't pass the background. And the background is not a background check. It's double checking to make sure that you're a first-time home buyer and that you're a first-generation home buyer, and they're validating that information. They're making sure you're not lying about your parents not owning a home in the United States right now, or not owning a home in the United States at the time of their passing. I asked the state about this, and they haven't given me a direct answer, but I've read a few different things that lead me to believe they are going to notify all the winners at once. I don't like that answer, but I think it's the right answer. Because if you start notifying a couple people, you're going to start worrying, oh my gosh, did I lose? Is it not my time? And it's going to create a lot of inbound calls to the state saying, hey, my friend got their voucher. I want to know if I got mine or did I get rejected? And it's going to create a lot of people wanting to get answers faster. And so I think they're going to wait until everybody has been selected and they have their entire wait list of people. And so you're going to have one of 4 results in the portal. Once you log into the portal, you have to pay attention to your status in the portal. And you are going to get an email if they request additional information. That could be, hey, we think this person is your parent. We need you to get a birth certificate to prove that they are or are not, because this person we looked up, they own a home. They might, who knows what kind of things they're going to ask for, but they're not going to give you a lot of time. You can log into the portal daily and check your status. I don't know what the name of the status is, but there'll be a status of waiting or whatever, pending. But at some point, it's going to say additional information requested. Keep looking, because I don't want you to miss that email and have it go to spam. Keep paying attention to your inbox, but then double check the state's registration portal and log in every day, starting after and I know the state's going to kill me for. The good news is I've only got about 45 people on here. So all 45 of you log in every day starting on May 1st. Okay, everybody else don't log in at all because they'll crash the system. But you're looking to see if they requested additional information, and maybe that email went to your spam box, because the state has said they're going to give you limited time, a limited amount of time to respond. Because if you don't respond, they have to move on to the next person. And if they move on, you're out. And here's the saddest part. If they called you for additional information, if they notified you for additional information, you made the cut. You were on the list. Whether it was the primary list or the backup list, you were on the list, because they're not researching anybody who didn't make the list. So it'd be really sad if you missed that email and you ran out of time before you were able to give them the answers to the questions that they wanted. All right. So we got another question. Cosmic Kita. So if one parent has a home, I would be under the first-time home buyer, not first generation. Yes. So Cosmic Kita, in your situation, if you are the only buyer, you're in trouble, because one buyer has to be first generation. And many people say, well, that's okay, John, because I have one parent that doesn't own a home. That's not the case. It's both parents cannot currently own a home and or could not have owned a home the day they died. So if you are the only borrower and you have one parent who owns a home, you cannot use this program. There's other amazing programs that I have. I'll help guide you through those other amazing programs, but you cannot use this program. But if you have one parent who owns a home and you have a co-buyer, a spouse, a significant other, a best friend, a not so best friend, and you want to buy the home with them, then as long as one of you is a first generation, then the other one, you're okay. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Guys, we've got about 5-6 minutes left. So if you have questions, by the way, if you're watching recorded after the fact, post your questions. I will go back and follow up and answer those questions as we move forward. Those of you who are watching live right now, Cosmic Kim says, thank you, perfect. That's perfect. All right, so let me go back to my stuff. All right, so what to do once you get a voucher. First of all, jump up and down and scream and take pictures of it and be super excited. I'm super excited for you. That's the first thing you do. Second thing you do, call me. Hey, John, let's celebrate together. I'm super excited. Okay, the third thing you do is send me a bottle of champagne. No, I'm just kidding. Don't send me anything. The third thing that you do is notify your realtor. If you have not picked a realtor yet, you should start looking now. Okay, now in May, I'm going to talk to you guys more about some of the crazy stuff that's going on with the National Association of Realtors. There's some rule changes that are likely to come into effect this summer that are going to change your relationship with your realtor. Right now, all you have to know is you need to find a realtor. And you need to find a realtor that you trust. You don't want to go on Zillow and pick the person whose name is on the screen. First of all, that person isn't the listing agent. And that person simply paid to get your information so that they can show you a home. And there's nothing wrong with paying to get your information, but just understand they don't know anything more about the home and they don't know anything about you. And so you don't want to keep calling and dating different people every day. Date now. Find the realtor that you're compatible with, that you trust. Get some recommendations. If you don't have a recommendation for a great realtor, let me know and I will give you a recommendation for a great realtor. I know amazing realtors all up and down the state, and I can connect you with amazing realtors. But once you get your voucher, you have 90 days to get into contract and reserve your money. Now, the state has not put this in writing, but based on everything I heard in their board meetings and everything I understand to be true, if you cancel that property because there was a problem with inspections, you still have the rest of the 90 days until the date and time on the voucher expiration to reserve a different home. So we cancel the first one, you'd lose that interest rate because that rate is tied to that property, and then you'd go keep searching. But you don't want to wait until the 88th day to get into contract if you possibly can. Because at that point, on the 92nd day, if you cancel that home, you're probably out of luck. The money's going to go to someone else who's on the wait list. Now, if you're on the wait list, you're kind of hoping for that, and you're saying, hey, bad luck for you, good luck for me. I get it. That's how the world goes round. But just understand that when you think about what your home shopping process is going to look like, look around right now. You're not picking the home. You're picking a neighborhood. You're picking a size of home. You're getting a feel for what's out there. You do not want to be kicking tires in June when you get your voucher. Okay, critical to make sure you understand that. All right, I have like 4 questions, so I'll make sure to get to those. You guys have more questions, post them, and I will cover them. But I have 2 more things I want to cover before I get to the questions that are there. What if I don't get a voucher? You cry a little bit. You realize maybe it was fate, maybe it was meant to be, maybe I'm going to be better off without it. Okay, we justify. I get it. Okay, and then you have to make a decision. It is okay to decide it's not the right time for me to buy a home. What I do not want any of you to do is to get so caught up in the fury of oh my gosh, I want to be a homeowner. I'll do whatever it takes. I am a firm believer in home ownership. Let me be clear. I get paid to help you get a home. And if you don't get a home, I don't get paid. If you don't get a loan, I don't make any money. My kids don't go to college. And then the world falls apart. But I'm not here to force you to do something that wasn't the right thing for you. And so what I'm going to be doing is setting up meetings with each of you to talk about your options. I'm going to start with the people who obviously got their voucher. But if you didn't get a voucher, we're going to set up a meeting as well. And we're going to say, okay, do you want to look at options? Let's open our eyes. I am a firm believer in informed decisions. You cannot make an informed decision without information. So don't shut your eyes and say, forget it, this means I wasn't meant for home ownership, but keep your eyes open. Keep your opportunities in front of you to find a way to get into home ownership, whether it's now or down the road. I am interviewing for the job to be your lender, to be your guide, to help you through this process, to accomplish your goals, whether it's now or down the road. I've been doing this for 24 years. I plan on doing it for quite a few more, okay? I want to take great care of you, and I want to trust you to trust me, not only with you, but all of your friends, family, and everyone that you know. All right, quick bonus, and then I promise I'm getting on to the comments. If you guys have comments, put them in now. If you have questions, put them in now, because I'm going to go through those comments, and then we're going to bail out. So bonus $10,000 grant program is now available. There is a grant program that gives a $10,000 grant, like free money. You can use it with almost any loan program. You can use it with Dream for All. You can use it with My Home. You can use it with the GSFA program. You can use it if you're not using down payment assistance. The program does require you use a real estate agent to help you buy a home. The program requires that you make less than 120% of the area median income for the region that you're in. There's a chart, so I'll help you walk through that and see if, so there are income limits. Requires you're a first-time home buyer. Every one of you are first-time home buyers. It requires you are one of three categories, okay? One of these three categories is a person of color. So as it was explained to me, it's basically anything other than white. So if you are a person of color, you automatically, by the way, these three are what the state is determining as underserved communities. So a person of color is considered an underserved community. You automatically meet one of these three criteria. Or if you're not a person of color, if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community, you also qualify as a member of an underserved community. The third definition of underserved community is if any borrower on the loan has a physical, mental, or cognitive disability. So if you're a person of color, if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community, or you have a physical, mental, or cognitive disability, and you make under certain income thresholds, then you can get a $10,000 grant. There is currently $500,000 in grant money for Northern California, and there's $500,000 in grant money for Southern California. That money burns pretty quickly, but we basically have 50 people that can get it in Northern California and 50 people that can get it in Southern California. I don't know if this money is going to be there when Dream for All launches, but if it is, you can tie it with Dream for All to help with your closing costs. But if you are thinking about, hey, maybe I'll do something now, I kind of think I can make it work, but I'm a little bit tight on closing costs, this might be your ticket. This might be your way to buy a home right now, because it's a flat $10,000, literally free money, like truly free money. Hopefully this bonus was worth it. Schedule time with me so I can walk you through how that works. All right, let's go through our questions here. All right, so Arturo, what happened if you had a bankruptcy? Okay, so my bankruptcy rules, I believe you have to have 4 years from the bankruptcy. So it's a Fannie Mae conventional loan. I'm looking here because I got it written somewhere, Arturo. Do 7 years. Nope, not 7. Chapter 7. Okay, there's a 7 in there. I just read it wrong. So the 7, a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, 4 years after the bankruptcy is discharged. Not from filing date, but from discharge date. If it's a Chapter 13, it's 2 years from the discharge date. And here's the kind of cool thing. It's based on when you go into contract. So technically, if you have a bankruptcy that's discharging at that timeline between now and June, early July, I'd be comfortable issuing you a pre-approval letter, because I know that by the time the voucher comes, you're still going to have time to find a home and get into contract within that timeline. Okay, so it gives you some flexibility because it's not based on today, because we're not going into contract today. By the way, the other thing is foreclosure. If you had a foreclosure in the last 7 years, you also do not qualify for this program. So a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, 4 years, a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, 2 years, a foreclosure, 7 years, unless you bankrupted the property before the foreclosure. And then technically we only care about the time from the bankruptcy, not to make that any more confusing. By the way, you got more questions, feel free to post them right now. All right, one more question from Arturo. What happens to you back Chapter 7 to qualify? May 17th will be your charge off. Okay, so you actually kind of said what I was alluding to. You posted this question long before I had gotten to this. But so if May 17th is your 4-year date, if it's a Chapter 7, then you're fine, because I know that you're going to have time after that in order to buy the home. So I'd be fine with it, but it's not your discharge date. It's the 4 years after the Chapter 7 or the 2 years after the Chapter 13. It's not your filing date, I should say. It's after your discharge date. So 4 years from the discharge date on a 7, 2 years from the discharge date on a 13. Andy, let's see what Andy has to say. How likely is it that will be a Dream for All program next year? Okay, so Magic 8 Ball says, I cannot figure out how to read the state budget. That probably means I'd make a great state senator because I don't think any of our state senators actually know how to read the budget. I have tried. I don't know how many of them have tried. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. You're a state senator on here. I promise I voted for you. Okay, so I don't see money in the budget for next year. Like I literally see $0 where I saw dollars last year and I saw dollars this year. As I look to next year's budget, I see no dollars. Okay, now maybe it's somewhere else. This is how much of a nerd I am over this stuff. I subscribe to the Senate Banking Committee's notifications, and I get notified every time the State Senate Banking and Finance Committee meets, and I read through them all to see if there's any information about Dream for All. The budget is officially put together by June 30th. So we will know July 1st for sure if there's money allocated for next year. Okay, there can still make some changes after that, but we really are going to know better by July 1st. But everything that I see right now says there's no money in there. So Andy says, thank you. My last question that I have, and then if there's more questions, guys, post them now because I'm bailing as soon as I finish answering this question. Jeanette says, is the 90 days to get into contract or to close? Okay, that is a phenomenal question. So you have a deadline on your voucher. There will be a date and a time printed on your voucher that is going to tell you that you must reserve your money by that date. Okay. What's interesting is I thought they were going to make us lock the interest rate, and they technically are saying, no, they just have to reserve your money. What does a reservation mean? It means you have a purchase contract. You've given me that purchase contract. My company has gone into CalHFA's system and registered that property under your Dream for All voucher number. Now, I personally am going to make sure you're locked by then because I just don't want to take the chance. What it says is registered. I'm going to call it locked. So we would get you, because you still have to be in contract in order to register, unless you have a crystal ball that I don't have, that you know that the next day rates are going to fall. I am a fan of locking when you can lock, because after that, it's gambling. Now, I know we're all about to enter into a lottery, so we're all gamblers of some sort. But when it comes to your monthly payment, you have a 50-50 shot that the rate's going to go up tomorrow or go down tomorrow. And so that's not a gamble that's worth it to me. And so, Jeanette, what I'll tell you is you have 90 days to get into contract and have me reserve that property address. That's the key. That property address of CalHFA, I'm going to encourage you that we lock by then too, because I just don't want any chance of us misstepping and not having the money fully reserved for you. And in my eyes, fully reserved includes locking. Guys, I really appreciate your time. A lot of you guys are watching already on my YouTube channels, but if you are not, let me give you a couple of things here. First of all, some next steps. Let's get rid of Jeanette's comment here. Some next steps. Oops, now I got to get rid of that. Man, I'm not doing a good job of controlling all this. All right, so next steps, subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe. There is all of my contact information, so you can take a picture of this screen. If you want a way to meet me, if you're on your phone, take a screenshot. If you're watching on a computer, use your phone to take a picture or take a snippet. But there is all of my contact information. So guys, I appreciate you. Let's put this back. Let's get rid of that guy. Okay, come on. Let me navigate this thing myself. Let's put that back there. And I got a couple of comments left. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for the thank you. You're very thankful for the thank you of the thankfulness. Jeanette, thank you again. Gang, I'm done. That's a wrap. Have a wonderful night. You will see me live on Wednesday morning. It might stumble through. It might kick me out. I don't know. Let's do it together. Let's see what happens. But I will be broadcasting on Wednesday morning, probably 9:30 to 10 o'clock on all of these same channels. So if you're old like me, same bat time, or different bat time, same bat channel. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys Wednesday, and then next Monday night and the next 3 Mondays, it will be same bat time and same bat channel that you'll see me and Robin. I don't know where Robin is tonight, but anyway, I'm looking forward to taking great care of all of you. And as always, this is my job interview. I am interviewing to be your lender and the lender for all of your friends and family that you feel comfortable referring to me. Thanks, everybody, and have a great night. We'll see you soon. Bye.